Shoot, volume, oops. What you didn't hear is at the beginning of this video, I said I feel a little discombobulated, but it'll be just like riding a bike and everything will be fine. But it wasn't. I forgot to turn the sound on. I am so sorry, you guys. I'm just going to take a second because I know there's a bit of a delay and I want to make sure that everybody can now hear me okay. Let me know in the chat. Thank you. I am so sorry. I was very animated in my chat, but you guys had no idea what I was saying. So I am just waiting a second for the YouTube delay, and then we'll get this party started. All right, let's see here. Okay, there's the sound. Oh my gosh, you guys. Well, welcome to those of you that are joining me live. And if you're unable to join me live and you're catching the replay, thank you so much. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure that you do so. Give a little thumbs up on this video just to help other people find it. And welcome to Get Crackin' on Christmas. What I was just sharing before I remembered to turn the sound on is that I started this initiative several years ago. I was frustrated at myself for not having a lot of my holiday cards created in time to send them out in time. And then I also kept buying all the new holiday products every year, and I was kind of upset at myself for not using those really fun, really cute holiday products. So my friend Shari and I kind of gave each other this challenge. Hey, let's just post one holiday card a month. And then that just kind of snowballed into this initiative. I really, really love Get Crackin' on Christmas. It's a little weird certain points of the year creating holiday cards. However, I'm enjoying the process more. I personally don't like to mass produce cards. So I like to have a few of one design and a few of another design. And when I'm making a few of them, every month throughout the year, it's less stressful. I'm having more creative play. I'm using my supplies more, which is key. And I'm just enjoying when it comes around to November and I have a nice stack of holiday cards ready to go. So welcome, you guys. And with these lives that I host every month, not only do I hope to inspire you and teach you a little something, I want you guys to use this time, if you're not at work secretly watching, to start working on your own holiday cards. You can definitely watch me, but start die cutting some sentiments or start stamping out some images or start coloring. You don't have to, create your holiday cards alone. We can do it all together. So welcome. Thank you guys for chiming in the chat and letting me know you can hear me okay. Hello, Miss Brienne. It is so good to see you today. So my Get Crackin' on Christmas card this month is all Hero Arts, and I love me some Hero Arts. Probably one of the first stamp companies that I have ever, started collecting, started creating with. They've been around forever. And I always love when my trade show bestie, Libby, invites me to be part of releases and blog hops and stamp-alongs and all the really, really fun things that Hero Arts does in this industry. So before I flip my camera, I just want to show you, I have had these liquid watercolors from Hero Arts in my studio for a few months now. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make all of these really fun summery cards, right? Well, I shared a little bit on my Instagram stories yesterday, but summer kind of took a little derail for me this year. My dad went through some health stuff. And it's just been a summer. So I didn't get as many things done as I had originally wanted. And I was starting to work on my Get Crackin' on Christmas for August. And if you know me, I'm a mermaid, and this time of year, I start to get really sad that summer is almost over. I definitely probably get seasonal depression. Labor Day weekend, Chris literally has to drag me off the beach. I might shed a tear. It's very dramatic, but it's just me. It's me. So anyways, I decided to combine the bright liquid watercolors with Hero Arts holiday stamps. Why not, right? So Hero Arts released their holiday catalog yesterday. There are so many fabulous goodies in it. And so I created my Get Crackin' on Christmas card with some new goodies. And I also created another card as part of their blog hop. And I'll share that with you guys really briefly at the end of this video. Margot says, what is a girl to do when you think you made your Christmas cards and now you have another idea? Make more Christmas cards, Margot. I'm guessing maybe you made one design and you made many of that design and now you've thought of another design, but make some more. You can always use them next year, or you can donate them to a local shelter or a local elderly home or something like that. Yes, I agree, Brienne. Hero Arts is the best. Thank you, Dee. My dad is doing better. He ran into a little snafu yesterday. The poor guy cannot catch a break this year. So everybody send good vibes to Jimbo, and hopefully the tail end of 2023 will be better for him. Yeah, Linda says, oh my gosh, I'm so sad that summer's almost over. What the heck happened? That's what I want to know, Linda. What the heck happened? And my friend 27 is calling me out and saying that I am not at all dramatic. He knows me very, very well. By the way, that is some New England sarcasm right there. I am a bit dramatic sometimes. All right, let's go ahead and flip the screen. Enough chit chat chatter. So this is what I am calling my retro watercolored holiday card. And like I kind of have mentioned in my blog post, which is pinned in the comments here, and also it is linked in the caption of this video. There's some good detail shots of the card, and all the supplies are listed over there if you are enabled to want anything. But what I mentioned is when I started watercoloring this, I honestly was like, I don't know. I stretch the boundaries when it comes to color schemes for the holidays. Very rarely, mostly never, will you ever see me do a red and green Christmas card. It's just not my jam. And so I started coloring this very neon card, and I was like, am I pushing it too much? And I actually went into, my boyfriend Chris works from home a lot. So I went into his office and I'm like, how do you feel about this? And he's like, ooh, psychedelic. And I'm like, yeah, but is that a good thing for a holiday card? And he was like, no, I really like it. And then when I pulled it all together, he was like, oh, I really, really like it. And it's grown on me. I love it more now than when I first started watercoloring it. So let's get started. And we are going to go through the process of how I created this really fun retro watercolored holiday card. So if these colors are not your jam, Hero Arts has a lot of different liquid watercolors. So you can most certainly be inspired by this card and change your color palette, right? So I just have a piece of laminated cardstock. It's a half a sheet of just white cardstock. And I use this as a palette for many different things. And so what I'm doing is I'm just kind of squeezing out some of these liquid watercolors. I do have a little bit of a bone to pick with Hero Arts. I'm a little sad there's not a neon blue. I know neon blue is really hard to do, but I'm still really sad that there is no neon blue. So, dear Hero Arts, please make me a lobster fancy die, which was my request after I did some really fun ocean cards with their products this summer. And I want a neon blue, please. Thank you. Love, Jen. That's my note to Hero Arts. Okay. So we have all of the liquid watercolors out, and the stamp set that I used is this one right here, and this was called Merry Foliage. So I used the Stamp and Die bundle. Just so you guys know, Hero Arts is only selling bundles now. They don't sell the dies separately, so you either just get the stamps or you get the stamps and dies, and I'm a die girl. I love, love, love having those dies. I'm going to set these liquid watercolors aside because I just remembered that I pre-embossed some of the images, but what I wanted to do was show you my embossing process because I actually get that question about embossing a lot. So what we are going to do is gold emboss our images. And this is where I was asking Chris, I'm like, yeah, does the neon work, but does it need to not be gold? And he's like, no, I like it. I like it. So anyways, so just so you guys know, when I'm over here creating, I'm often questioning what I'm working on and if it's going to be, you know, quote unquote good enough. But just keep working. It's just paper, right? So this is my beloved Distress watercolor cardstock. And that is what I am going to be watercoloring. It's the only watercolor cardstock I ever use. Thank you guys so much for your sweet comments about my retro colors. Hello, Paula. So glad that some of you are catching the live for the first time. Yeah, laminated piece of cardstock for a palette is really great. It's inexpensive. It stores really easily, cleans up really easily. Let's see. Okay, so we are going to just do the embossing process on one of the smaller images here. Again, I just kind of wanted to share that with you. I get the question a lot on how, you know, how do I get a good embossed image and such. And I also think we sometimes forget that we're all still learning and it's nice to kind of see the process. So I'm taking out the smaller floral image from that Merry Foliage bundle. And I have it in my Misty. And again, I'm working on the smooth side of Distress watercolor cardstock. So I am going to emboss in gold. And because I'm embossing in gold, I like to use a gold pigment ink. And I do this as well when I'm embossing in white. I use a white pigment ink. This metallic gold from Honeybee Stamps is really fabulous, and I've been using it a lot. And then the gold embossing powder that I love is Gilded by Brutus Monroe. And I keep it in my container that's very similar to my Glitter All of the Things container. And then the other very important tool that I use when I'm embossing is my Rabbit Hole Designs Cottontail Powder Tool. I can't stress enough how this makes such a big difference so that we don't have any static cling. It also helps the embossing emboss more evenly. This is a special clay powder, so there is no odor, no smell to it, and it works fabulously. I do have the supplies linked in the description of this video. There's a pinned link at the top of this chat. I carry this in my online shop and I have the refills for it as well. You won't need a refill for quite a while. I have not had to refill mine and I've been using it since it came out, which has been a long time. I'm trying to remember how long ago that tool came out. So I'm using a gold pigment ink and I am stamping the image. Now, what I want to do is I want to stamp this a couple times. Watercolor cardstock and any paper is absorbing. So the first time you stamp your ink, it's absorbing into the paper. So I like to stamp it a few times so that the ink is going to sit on top of the paper and it is going to grab the powder much nicely, much better. Words are hard sometimes, you guys. Words are hard. Yesterday was a big day. Not only did Hero Arts have their holiday catalog release, but Lawn Fawn had their fall and winter release. And I launched 5 brand new online classes. I'm so excited. I'm also going to be traveling and doing some in-person stuff. So all of those details are over on my website. It's going to be a busy, 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 fun fall. And I'm very excited. And I hope you guys will join me in some of that fun. So I am just adding that gold embossing powder onto the stamped image. And you can see I'm not getting any static cling because I used that cottontail powder tool, and the powder is clinging to it very, very nicely. So then my other tip when I am heat embossing is I turn the embossing gun on and I let it heat up for a second or two before I add it to the paper. My tabletop is made out of glass, and I like to lift my paper up and emboss, and what's happening is the heat is going through the paper, it's bouncing off the glass, and then it's also heating it from the bottom at the same time. So just so you understand, I think you're going to be able to hear me okay once the embossing gun goes on, but just in case, that's what I'm doing. All right, so we're turning on the embossing gun first. I'm not even directing it at my paper. I'm just giving it a minute to warm up. Thank you, Miss Brienne. She's always so great adding comments in the chat for us. And thank you, Katie, for all of the excitement, for all the things. All right, so now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna start embossing. And like I said, we can't see it, but the heat is going through the paper, bouncing off my glass table surface, and heating it up from behind as well. Also, because I use the cottontail powder tool, I find I'm getting a nice, more even, smooth embossing. And I just want to make my way around the paper as it's melting so I'm not scorching my cardstock, because we don't want that. And that, my friends, is some fun gold embossing. I haven't really gold embossed in a while because I've been hot foiling so much. So yeah, I'm going to clean off this stamp. And because I'm live, I'm so excited. For months now, you guys, I've been telling myself I should treat myself to a new stamp chamois. Look at this thing. This is dry, obviously. I've not wet it, but I like for months, I'm like, I carry stamp chamois in my online store. I literally have them downstairs. I'm like, I should treat myself. I should treat myself. So then I brought a new one up, and it's been sitting on my desk for weeks and weeks. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? So, dun da da da, you guys, I'm using my new stamp chamois today for the first time. I've been using that other stamp chamois for a very, 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 very long time. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Amazing. Oh, I love it. Just made me happy. I figured today live would be the best time. You guys would appreciate my excitement over my new stamp chamois. I knew you guys. I mean, if I shared that with Chris, he'd be like, yay, who cares? So yeah, let's see. Yay, thank you guys. Hello, glad you guys are popping in. Liz is trying to clean up her desk. Ooh, good luck with that. Good luck, good luck. And she labeled her pocket for a new stamp and die the name of my class instead of its actual name. So a fun little story while I'm die cutting this image out. Fun little story to share with you guys. When I name my online Lawn Fawn classes, I really try to avoid the actual stamp name of the main stamp we're going to be using, because often Kelly Marie and I have our free Create With Us mini classes that we teach that are named the stamp name. And so it does provide a little bit of a challenge for me to come up with a creative, fun sounding name for all of my online classes. And usually I pick Shari's brain, my friend Shari, and she usually does come through and is super helpful and helps me come up with fun ideas. Well, last week, I was in Provincetown. My friends here on the Cape and we rent a house and we spend a week down in Provincetown, which is the very, very end of Cape Cod. And we kind of had some not so great weather. It wasn't beach weather, but we were still having fun. And I was like, I don't know. I like haphazardly mentioned, well, you guys could help me come up with my class names, like joking. It kind of is a little bit of a joke that once you become my friend, you kind of work for me. Because I have no problem delegating and asking for help to run my little business. But I was literally just kidding. Like I was not expecting them to help me name my classes. Well, Jen and 27 and Brad got so excited, like Post-it notes came out. And I gave them the rundown of what the actual stamp names were. I laid out all the card designs so they could see them and hopefully be inspired. And they were going to town, coming up with all kinds of fun puns. I actually told them that they should just start working for Lawn Fawn. And they were having a blast. And then they were so excited to find out like which names I chose, which was really funny. So it was fun. And now I'm probably forever going to ask them for help and they're going to wish they never helped me, in the beginning. So yeah, let's see. Oh, yay. Linda just got one of my flour sack towels. Yeah, and almost hate getting ink on it. I felt the same way, Linda. Linda's talking about my custom glitter all of the things flour sackcloths. I was feeling exactly the same way when my friend Josie started custom making these for me. By the way, she gave this to me in December. And you guys can see how loved it is. They are out of stock right now, but she is busy making some more. So hopefully they'll be in stock soon. And you guys can sign up for stock notification on my website too, so you'll know. But I promise you, those first couple inks are hard, Linda. But then it gets easier after that, I promise. Let's see. Yeah, new stamp chamois. Yay. Yay, Kylie. Thank you. I'm so excited that you're excited for my classes. All right. So now what we are going to do is we have our gold embossed images. And again, this is all from that same stamp set, Merry Foliage Border. Merry Foliage Bundle. But what I also used was the dies from this set, the Winter Foliage Stampin' Cut. Now, there are some really awesome sentiments in here, and I actually really like these sentiments. I think many of them will work really well on the inside of cards. I know a lot of people always ask me that. I personally don't put sentiments usually on the inside of my cards because I handwrite a note, but a lot of these would be good for that. But what I did is I took some of these foliage pieces and I also die cut them out of the smooth side of the Distress watercolor cardstock. And what I did, because I find it a little bit easier to watercolor these when I have a little bit more to hold on to, is I kept them in their die cut rectangles and I just used some of my very loved Spellbinders Best Ever craft tape. And then that way it's going to hold it in place when I get to watercoloring. All right. If Katie's asking if you can wash the flour sackcloth, you most certainly can. It's never going to be clean. It's never going to be white again. I actually never, ever wash mine. Now, Josie washes them ahead of time for you guys before she puts glitter all of the things on there, because washing them once will help them be more absorbent. But I never wash it again. I have flour sackcloths all over my studio. I mean, this one's even older. Again, I never wash them, so. Brienne says, I cut over 300 of those sprigs for sample cards, and I may be a bit traumatized from it. Well, as long as, Brienne, that overshadows the traumatization that I gave you in May. All right, so we are going to start watercoloring. And really, the beauty of liquid watercolors, actually, let me grab my cup of water that I put up here the other day. All right. The beauty of liquid watercolors is they are so fluid that they're really not hard to work with. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit while I do this larger flower so you guys can kind of see better. But my big thing is, how concentrated do I want the color to be? Do I want the color to be a really light, soft color like these larger petals here are? Or do I want them to be a more vivid, darker color like these more pointy petals? And so that is all determining how much water you have. So I'm actually going to have a fairly wet brush, and I'm going to pull out some of this neon pink, and that's going to soften that color. And I am going to just start painting in these bigger rounded edge petals. Now, I really started to really examine this image, and part of me feels like some of the things that I colored like a flower are actually leaves. But I got out of my head and I was like, stop overthinking it. Just have fun. You only have these colors to work with. And so I kind of let that go. And I'm happy I did, because again, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I sometimes am too literal when I color things. And I find that when I see other people coloring things and not being so literal, I really like their results, and it encourages me and inspires me to try to break out of that zone when I'm working on it. Okay, so the other thing, because we embossed this image, that embossing edge really does help keep the colors in place. So if you're new to watercoloring, I recommend embossing your images because it just kind of builds this little wall that helps you stay in the lines, helps you contain the water. That's a big struggle sometimes when you're watercoloring, is having too much water, not enough water. It's all about learning to control the water. So you can see I'm mixing together the pink and the purple to kind of get a more magenta color for these pointy petals. And so I'm just filling those in. And also what's nice about the embossing is going to resist the watercolor. So I might color right over this center line, but because the embossing powder is melted and like a plastic, it's going to resist that paint. Sorry. Lost track of what I was trying to say to you guys. All right, so I'm doing these pointy leaves. Okay. And then what I did for the actual leaves, or what I saw as actual leaves, is I'm kind of mixing together the green and the yellow a little bit. And you can also see, or hopefully you can see, a little bit of paint goes a long way. So those little jars of those liquid watercolors, right, these right here, are going to last you a really nice long time. And they really are so fun to work with. And just a reminder, there are other colors. So if you're interested in playing with them, but neon is not your thing, definitely check out. I linked to all of the liquid watercolors when I linked to the supplies, so that you would be able to see all the different color options out there. All right. I just love how much they glow. They're so, so pretty. Yeah, so Kylie, these are the liquid watercolors from Hero Arts. And in the description of the video, I do have all the supplies listed. And at the top of the chat, I pinned the link to my blog post where I have all the supplies linked and pictured as well. So you can kind of see at the same time. All right, so then we have these fun little berries in the center and kind of these little berries on the side. And what I did for these guys is I mixed together some of the orange and the pink, but I did really want it to be a high concentration. I wanted it to be a very bright, bold color. So I'm going to go ahead and dab all of these with that mixture. And I'm going to let it sit a minute, but then I'm going to do something else really fun. But again, I'm going to kind of let that sit just for a minute so it'll dry just a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and color our other images. So I'll go back to that in just a second. So we've got our two little sprigs here, and I colored them very similarly to how I colored the larger image. So these kind of rounded petals, I did pink. And I think it's okay if you go out of the lines, which I just did. If it bothers you that you went out of the lines, what you can do is clean your brush and just kind of put some water down right where you went out of the lines. And that usually picks up the color so that it will look white again. All right. I'm going to kind of tag team both of these here. So what's fun about liquid watercolors, again, is that they're already fluid. You don't need to add water to help them move around. They are highly concentrated in color, meaning they're very bright and vivid, which is really, really nice. And they're just really fun to play with. There's lots of fun drippy techniques you could do with them. Lots of cool things. So I'm doing that same pinky purple for these pointy leaves. Yes, the dropper style is really fun. And yes, they are very similar to Distress Reinkers, which I've watercolored with my Distress Reinkers as well, which is really nice because, again, you just get a high concentration of color, more so than, you know, squeegeeing your ink pad out and coloring with it. So it just depends on the look you're going for. This is why there's so many different supplies out there for us to use, because sometimes we want things to look differently. Katie says she's been enabled again. Well, I hope you enjoy your new liquid watercolors, Katie. All right, so now I'm gonna color these leaves with that kind of yellowy green mixture that I've made. There we go. And I don't know why I cleaned my brush, because I'm doing the same color. Not thinking. But we'll go ahead in and do these two leaves as well. It is super rainy here on Cape Cod today, and I think it's going to be rainy all weekend. So I told Chris, I'm like, I'll work all weekend, but if it is sunny on Monday, I'm going to the beach. Because with all of the things that happened this summer, I actually did not get to the beach very much, which again, if you know me, you know that that is very, very sad times for me. So I'm happily going to work through the rainy weekend and then use that benefit of working for myself. And hopefully, I think Monday is supposed to be sunny. Go to the beach. We will see. We will see. New England weather changes every 5 minutes. So I just kind of wake up and see what's happening. So I'm doing those little berries, and then we're going to bring in those other berries from the larger image. I'm going to show you something fun. I'm going to just set those guys aside. So with this here, what I'm going to do is clean my brush, and I'm going to go in and pick up just some straight yellow, and I'm going to just plop that into these berries. And because the paint is not fully dry, the yellow is going to move around. These two berries have a little bit too much paint in them, so I'm kind of just picking up some of the paint with a clean brush. There we go. You can see I kind of painted on my hand, and so now I'm just going to wipe that off. It's just, I get in the habit of painting on my hand because it helps me get a sense of how much water is on my brush. So there we go. Now we're adding that yellow. And I'm also just going to add a little bit of yellow to these other little berry sprigs. And it's just fun because they kind of move around the liquid watercolors on their own. And they'll dry and it'll just look really, really cool. So we'll go ahead and do that to these. And then we are going to watercolor the die cut foliage that I have. Doop, 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 doop. And again, if they're too wet or they have too much paint in them, they're not going to take that yellow very well. Like this berry has a lot of paint in it. I can even see it. So I'm just going in with a paintbrush that doesn't have a lot of water, has no paint. It'll kind of soak up some of that paint. And now I'll go in with the yellow. There we go. So pretty and so fun, right? So I'm going to set those aside. And now we are going to watercolor our foliage that I die cut. So, and I just mimicked the same kind of color scheme that I did on the embossed images. So the rounded leaves are going to be a really light pink. And again, because I kept them in their backing sheets by just putting some of my used Best Ever Craft tape, holding those in place, it makes it really quick and easy to just add some color to these. And you don't have to struggle holding on to them. Thanks, Dee. I'm glad this is relaxing. I love watercoloring. I think it's so relaxing. I think that's why I have been using my Distress watercolor pencils so much, is because it is different than coloring with markers. It is very relaxing. Coloring in general is relaxing too, though. Brian says, I wish we were having rain. It's hot and so humid. Ugh, I'm sorry. Katie says, yep, we had an actual tornado in Rhode Island last Friday. This summer has been weird. Yes, Katie, we actually had a tornado here as well, and it touched down in Marston's Mills. I live in Osterville. It was only 2 miles from my house. I was not home at the time. I was out running errands before we left on vacation, and we got the tornado alert on our phones. And I'm the crazy cat mama that when we get that tornado alert, I put all 3 cats in their carriers because heaven forbid something happens. A branch goes through a window, a branch comes down on our roof. I don't know. I just know that I have 2 very scared cats and 1 cat that wishes he could be an outdoor cat. And so as long as I have them all in their individual carriers, they're safe. I can quickly scoop them up and get them out of the house. But anyways, long story short, I was not home when the last tornado warning went off, and Chris did not put them in their carriers. He kind of thinks I over worry too much sometimes, which is fine. And but then when he saw where the tornado dropped down and how close it was to home, he was like, oh, maybe I should have put them in their carriers. I'm like, yes, this is why I do this. So anyways, but yeah, we don't normally get tornadoes here on Cape Cod, but we've been getting them at least once or twice every summer for the past few summers. Crazy weather, you guys. Crazy, crazy weather. All right, so these little sprigs, I'm kind of doing that magenta mixed purpley pretty color. I love it. I think it's so pretty. Hello, Marianne. Oh, look at her. She just popped right in when I was telling how much I, take care of the kitties, which Marianne owns the Rabbit Hole Designs, which I was just talking to you guys about the cottontail powder tool when we did some embossing. But she also is a big fan of my kitties, and she's Jack's number one fan. So I posted a picture this morning of the kitty snuggles I was getting with Jack, and I immediately thought of her. I was like, ooh, she's going to be jealous. All right. So last but not least, we're just coloring these little holly branches, and I kind of did the stems all green right up into the berries, and then we'll do the berries last. I want to do a sprig of these and then move on to the second sprig to give time for this sprig to dry a little bit. If I went right into doing the berries, the colors would all mix together, kind of like I did with the yellows and the pinks, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want a ton of, pink to bleed into the green part of these. So that's why I'm going to kind of move around. I can always zap it with my heat tool if it's too wet, and we'll see. I might to speed up the process for the sake of the live, but that's why I'm kind of not going right in and doing the berries right away. Our humidity has dropped a bit. It's actually felt a bit fallish here, which again, does not make this mermaid happy. But as a result of that, the kitties are more snuggly. So I've been getting a lot more Jack snuggles, which helps with the blow of the end of summer coming. Yes, Marianne was giving me permission to stay in bed for all the kitty snuggles. All right, so these branches are still a little wet. So what I'm going to do is just use my Ranger heat tool, not an embossing gun. I like to use a heat tool because I don't worry about this scorching the paper at all. And it's a diffused heat, so it's not really moving the inks around. It's just going to dry them. And I just want to dry them before I do my berries. I'm glad some of you guys are chiming in and being on the summer train with me. I know I love summer, and here in New England, we have some really, really hot and humid days, and we do not have central air in our home. So it's hard sometimes. However, it isn't very long, and our evenings tend to cool off. So I know I'm very lucky with that aspect of summer. I understand those of you that live in summer that like never ends and is just sweltering. I get it, but I'm glad some of you guys are chiming in that you're sad summer's leaving. I am just not a winter girl. I haven't been for a long, long time. So we're doing that pink orange mixture on these berries. And I am going to go back and add a touch of yellow to them as well, like we did on the embossed images. All right. This time of year is also weird for me because I don't have children that don't have 4 legs, human children. And so seeing all the back to school posts, I was talking to my friend Josie about this, is the most biggest wake up call that I'm actually getting older. I don't feel like I'm getting older. And I think those of you that have kids, you have more of a sense of getting older just because you're seeing your kids getting older. So all the back to school photos are really hard for me because I'm seeing all of my friends' kids and they're getting older. I'm at the point where they're going, my friends' kids are going to college and finishing high school, and it's just weird for me. It's very weird because I don't have that sense of time moving as much, if that makes sense. I don't know. Probably makes no sense at all. All right, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to these berries, and I really just kind of like to dab it and then let it do its thing. However it wicks out, whatever it ends up looking like, we're going to be putting some Distress rock candy on these things anyways, so they're going to look fabulous no matter what. Glitter fixes everything, right? So there we go. Super, super fun. Looks a bit messy right now because I just kind of slapped it on. But we're going to set these aside and we are going to now work on our background. All right. Let's see. I'm just catching up on comments. Linda says the heat tool was one of her most favorite and best gin-abled things she bought. I love that. I couldn't agree more. Let's see. Liz is happy that fall is coming, so I'm happy for her. Linda says I always say I'm solar powered and just don't do winter. I agree. Let's see. Yep, Marianne agrees. She loves the Ranger heat tool. And Paula says we just have wet and dry season here in Barbados. It's always summer, technically. Oh, that sounds amazing. I don't mind a rainy day when it's warm out. Like today's warm and it's rainy. I don't mind that. Like when we were in Provincetown and it rained, I did not mind. It's winter rain I don't like when it's cold and raw and gross. Dee lives by the beach in North Carolina, and she completely relates to my beach needs. Yep, once it's in your blood. All right, so now what I have here is we're going to work on the background. I'm going to set these liquid watercolors aside because we all know I'm going to make a hot mess with those, especially on a live. So I have another piece of Distress watercolor cardstock. I die cut it with the outside in stitched rectangle from Lawn Fawn, the largest one. And what that's going to do is just give a nice stitching border with a little bit of space to kind of have it popped up on my white card base. And what I'm going to do for the background of this is I'm going to actually use the Gonzai Tombi Starry Colors. And what I'm going to do, and this is kind of a weird process. I was like thinking about how I was going to explain this during my live. But I used I'm trying to remember if I used the champagne gold or the light gold. I think it was the light gold. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm adding just a little bit of water to that light gold palette because this is not liquid watercolors. It's a hard cake. So it's going to take a minute for that to soften up. And then I will show you how I am creating this background. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know I kind of switched doing these Get Crackin' on Christmas lives during the day. And I know that's tricky for some people to be able to watch. But I just had so much stuff going on in my evenings and I felt like I was working like 24 hours a day. So I kind of just had to switch these to kind of like work hours. because also poor Chris, you know, he has to like tiptoe around the house when I'm doing a live, and we've got to coordinate dinner, and it just is a lot. It's a lot. So I've kind of switched him to daytime. Maybe I'll be able to do a couple on a weekend day this fall. We'll have to see. It really all just depends on my schedule. All right, so this has kind of been getting soupy. So what I'm going to do is I am going to load up my paintbrush. And this is just a number 4 round paintbrush. It's nothing fancy. And the way that I'm going to start my background, and I actually, I'm going to quickly grab, hold on one second. I am going to grab my set of cards that I did for Pink Fresh, because this is similar and it's holiday related. So I can kind of show you guys these. So you might remember I posted these 3 cards. Pink Fresh just also had a really fabulous new release. And so this white background here is the same way that I'm going to do the background today. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And I enjoyed doing it so much. It inspired my background on this card. And then what I also did was I overlaid it with some color. So this is with some blues, and I used distress watercolor pencils for the coloring on this. And then I also did a pinky red color scheme as well. So these backgrounds are what inspired today's background. So if you loved those cards and want to recreate them, now you'll be able to see kind of how I did it. So what I am doing is I'm loading up my paintbrush with some of this light gold metallic paint. And what I'm actually first going to do is splatter it in a diagonal line. Okay. Yay. Good. I'm glad some of you guys like that it's daytime. And yes, you can always catch the replay, which is kind of why I was able to justify it. That hopefully I wasn't letting too many of you guys down. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so thank you, Brienne, for linking those Pink Fresh cards. So I am going to splatter some paint in a diagonal manner. Now, granted, it's splattering, so you can't really control where it goes. But I like to kind of splatter it first. And I don't know why. I think it just takes the fear out of where to place my metallic splooges. I don't even know what word I'm trying to say. But let me zoom way in. So now you'll be able to see what I'm going to do. So I am going to come in with a wet paintbrush, and I'm going to just start to move this paint around. And so could I just go right into the paint and start going to town? For sure. But having these splatters down just helps me kind of come up with a path, a pattern, and it just kind of makes it a little less scary than making this background from scratch. And so I'm just working my way around. I am, going off and touching off the edges. I am going into the paints and bringing some more in to the puddles of water, so it'll be a bit more intense in its metallicness, its glimmer, okay? And you can leave some of the splatters if you want. I'm probably going to go back in and add some more after I get this background done. And it's just this is really relaxing and fun. And I purposely did the textured side of the Distress Watercolor cardstock because I like seeing that texture. I feel like it gives it a little bit of tooth. It gives it a little bit of an artsy feel. And so sometimes I like that. If I'm not needing to stamp an image that needs to come out nice and crisply, I do like the textured side of the Distress Watercolor cardstock. So this is how I did those backgrounds on the Pink Fresh cards as well. So I started by adding color with my Distress Watercolor pencils. And then I went in and did the same process to get the metallic. Now for this card, a lot of this is going to get covered by my main image. So I'm keeping that in mind. I'm not really worrying about what the center looks like. I'm really concentrating on my corners, my upper left corner and my bottom right corner. But it's just fun. It's all fun, right? Even if it gets covered up, it's still fun. All right, so now I'm going to dry this with my heat tool. Yeah, it's fun. And again, I think sometimes we fear a white background and how to get, you know, an inky background to like look nice. So kind of splattering the paints first takes away that fear. Ooh, yes. Marianne says she uses that diagonal method when she puts her distress inks down on her smoosh mat. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to get this to dry. Same thing when I was embossing. I like to raise my paper up because the Ranger heat tool is heating through the paper. It's bouncing off my glass table and it's radiating and heating it up from the back as well. So if you don't have a glass tabletop, it's nice to work on a glass mat. That's the one thing Mr. Holtz has not been able to sell me is his glass mat, only because my whole table is glass. But it is really, really nice to ink blend on glass, to heat on glass. It's just a really nice surface to work on. All right. I'm going to wipe up anything that might be wet. I'll clean my desk off better after the live. So now that this is dry, I do want some splatters. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to load up my brush. And we'll get some splatters. And they're going to stand out on top of the diluted metallic because it's thicker. Right? Oops. There we go. And now I'm going to dry this one more time. And then we will start to do some assembly. And then at the very end, I do want to show you my other card I made with the new Hero Arts stuff that came out with their holiday catalog. If you guys don't know, it was released yesterday. There's a really fun blog hop going on where you can win prizes. So if you want to go ahead, you can start right at my website and then hop along for inspiration, ideas, leaving comments to try to win some prizes. Let's see. Linda says, I love my tray of shimmer paints. They just add a little something something to cards. I agree. I agree. Liz was able to get a mini die cut machine, and now I don't know how I live without it. I use my Hero Arts points, and I love it. That's so great, Liz. I don't know how I lived without a mini die cut machine either, and now I use it more than my big one, honestly. And Katie says, glass is super easy to clean, too. I love the Tim Holtz glass media topper. I want the travel one. No worries, Nikki. I'm glad you're here. You know, you can go back and catch up too later if you would like. All right. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to get a card base out because this is my year of card bases. If you guys don't know, I make a lot of card fronts and they don't always make it onto card bases. And I got really mad at myself last winter when I was filling out my holiday cards because I had them all made, but they were all card fronts. And it's so time consuming to put a lot of cards onto card bases, you guys. So I was getting really frustrated. Last December was a little bit more hectic for me than normal because I had an art retreat online in January. So we were packing and shipping boxes and everything. So I was getting really frustrated, and everybody or most people on my Christmas card list ended up getting card fronts. It was a new trend that I started last year, like a postcard in an envelope, and I have no shame in it. I was like, whatever, they're still getting a holiday card from me. It is all good. It could be worse, right? Right. So this year I'm trying really, really hard to get my cards on card bases. Now, I'm not perfect. They're not all getting on card bases. But when I use this outside in stitched rectangle, it's got to get on a card base, right? So another reason to use it all the time. So I'm just adding some foam tape behind this panel, and we're going to add this to a white card base. Thank you so much, you guys. It is a really fun technique, and again, if the neon colors aren't for you for the holidays, just switch up the colors. Hero Arts has a lot of really fun liquid watercolor colors, except for neon blue, but I'm getting over it. And yeah, it's all good. Yes, Marianne got a holiday card from Jack. Of course you did, Marianne. All right, so we've got our foundation down. And now what I want to do is let's go ahead and get our foliage out here. And this is my well-loved, very used Best Ever craft tape. So I already determined that I'm not going to use it again after using it for the back, holding it in, because it might have some paint on it and that might transfer to a project later. So this was my way of retiring these pieces of Best Ever craft tape. Yvonne says that she thought of me yesterday when she pulled out a card to give somebody and it wasn't on a card base. See, I'm a bad influence. I'm trying to be better, you guys. Liz grabbed a stack of cards from classes with me to take to the hospital when she was heading to get her hubs discharged for planned surgery, and she cursed herself that they weren't on card bases. Oops. Did you curse yourself, Liz, or did you curse me? Be honest. Be honest. Yes, I want them to come out with a neon blue too. Where's Libby? Paging Libby. She's so sweet. She did tell them I want a lobster fancy die. The big thing is all the nautical stuff. There'll be lots of crabs, which of course we have crabs up here in New England, but a lot of the nautical stuff is very tropical. And so for me, being in New England, I'm always, morphing it into my New England home. Very rarely will you see me using palm trees and things like that. But anyways, so when I was doing all those really fun ocean cards this summer with new Hero Arts goodies, I was like, man, I really wish we had a lobster. All right. Cursed at herself. All right, so luckily I've already figured out the placement of everything. I'm just going to kind of follow the same thing. You just want to be gentle getting your little sprigs out of the distress watercolor cardstock because they might still be a little damp, and some of these are pretty dainty and the cardstock is very thick. So you just want to be gentle with it so that you don't rip them. And while I'm taking all of these little sprigs out, I do just want to mention I have a lot of fun in-person classes this fall as well. I'll be heading to California in a couple weeks for the Always an Adventure Lawn Fawn event that Lori is hosting. I'm very, very excited for that. Then I'll be going to Papercraft Clubhouse, which is in Connecticut. She's my local, not so local store. It does take me 2 hours to get there, but it's worth it. And I love, love, love going to teach there. And it happens to be World Card Making Weekend. So I'm very excited to be teaching in person during that weekend. And then at the end of October, I will be going to Firefly Farm, which is in Minnesota. And Trisha has an amazing store that I love so much. And she also now has Fox Forest Retreat Center, which is right across the road from her store. So I'll be teaching classes in the store, and I will also be teaching during her Lawn Fawn Soiree retreat. So that is super, super fun. And then last but not least, in November, I am so excited. I am hosting my in-person Creative Journey Art Retreat. This is the first time I've had one since the fall of 2019. And it's at a new venue. It's right on the water, you guys. We are literally going to look out at the water the whole weekend while we're creating. Honestly, maybe I'm not going to teach at all because I'm going to be gazing out at the ocean, but I'll do my best. We are going to make at least 12 cards, possibly quite likely more. And we're going to use all the goodies from our sponsors, and some of those goodies are going to be exclusive. All right, so excited. Yay, a bunch of you I'll see in California. I love it. No, Marianne, I'm not going to put Jack in a suitcase for you. I know that you're going to ask me that again. Carol said that her holiday cards last year were card bases that she attached to a belly band to go around our Christmas letter and photos. Oh, that's so sweet. Aw, well, thank you for joining me today, Carol. I appreciate it. Awesome. Yay, Tammy's going to meet me in November. Woot, woot. Cape Cod or bust. All right, so what I did with this foliage is it's kind of just filler. So what I'm going to do is just use my glue tube, and I'm going to add this down onto my background flat. And as soon as I said that, I remembered my glue tube is almost out. Let's see here. I was crafting up a storm before I left for vacation, and then when I came back, I was doing more computer work than crafting, getting blog posts and websites and stuff like that ready. So I kind of forgot. Oh, I think I need a new glue tube. I kind of forgot how much I left my studio a mess. Let's see. All right, give me 1 second. I am going to grab another glue tube. Luckily, I've got lots. Marianne says that she's already talked to Jack, and he's going to try to stow away. Oh, boy. That would be funny, huh? Oh my gosh. He would be so scared, Marianne. Oh, yay. Katie's going to try to make it for registration at Papercraft Clubhouse. So I don't know if you heard, Katie, but I think Tracy said that registration for that's going to open the first week of September. So you have a little bit of time that you don't need to watch your emails like a hawk. Yes, I know the Cape is a little bit of a travel for people, but it's also a really fun destination, right? So if you can't make it to the art retreat this year, I do have plans to host it again next year. And maybe you can start to plan that and work it into your travel plans. It's in the off season, so it's a little bit more affordable, because we are a travel destination, so it can get pretty pricey here in the summer. So I try to avoid that. Tammy has 2 kitties named Pumpkin and Spice, so this is their favorite time of year. I love it. So cute. We've got Mr. Harley, Kitten Shirkus, and then we've got Gus Gus, and then we have Jack. 3 boys. Yay, Heather will be at Firefly Farm. I love that. Registration for Firefly Farm is open, and last I knew, there are still spots available. Where, oh, here it is. I'm like, where did my second magenta piece go? it's been a while since I've taught in California. I have taught in California many times. I taught at Paper Tales back when they were still open. And then I've taught at Stamp Fever several times. So, but it's been a while, you know, with things like pandemics and such. So I'm excited to get back out there, and I haven't seen my Lawn Fawn family in real life since the pandemic. We FaceTime a lot, but it'll be nice to see them in real life and give in real life hugs. Oh, yay. Well, I'm glad you're joining me, Heather, at Firefly Farm. That's a good place to join me. I don't know if you've been there yet, but Trisha has a great store. She does so many fun in-person and online events too. So much fun. She puts a lot of heart and soul into her business. And as soon as you become a customer, you realize that. So you can see I'm just arranging this foliage again with my glue tube. It doesn't matter what it looks like in the center because our embossed images are going to cover that up. And I kind of just have these flat as a filler. Give it a little bump bump, right? All right. And then what I wanted to do with these embossed images is I'm just going to use the edge of my Teflon bone folder, and I'm just going to break the core of the paper a little bit just to give these guys a little bit of a curl. That way they're not looking so stiff and rigid. It's just breaking that core of the paper. I'm just rolling the cardstock along the edging of the Teflon bone folder. It's nice to have the Teflon one because it's a lot more slippery. And let's see, you guys can kind of see if I hold it like this. See how it's just a little bit of a curve. I'm not trying to, you know, do anything too crazy, but instead of having it look flat, it'll give it a little bit of a pucker, which is kind of fun. All right. So now what we are going to do is put down our embossed pieces. So let me grab my foam squares. And we'll start with our 2 smaller sprigs. I need to get some bigger foam squares. Again, sell them in my online shop, but haven't gone down there to get myself some. But that's okay. I need so many cards getting ready for classes that I need to do a little restocking. Let's see here. Yay. I love that you guys are all connecting, those of you that are going to be in California. Love it, love it. All right, so we're going to do one little sprig up here, and this is where I like to kind of break out of the frame a little bit. I don't want to break out of the card base, excuse me, but hanging over that outside in stitch rectangle frame a little bit just kind of gives a lot of motion and movement on your card. I don't want to go past the card base though, because for sure, these cards are going to be mailed for the holidays. So I'm just kind of making sure that I'm still within the parameters of the card base. This lining up like this in the center is not planned, and I don't think that is how my original card was. It just happened that way. All right, so now this guy's going to sit here, so I really only need foam squares on the left and the right. I just set them down. Here they are. And then, of course, we're going to be glittering all of the things. I literally cannot make a holiday card without adding sparkle. I mean, let's be real. I can't make any card without adding sparkle, but holiday cards, it's really hard for me. Some of you guys emailed me because those of you that are going to the Always an Adventure event in California, they were like, are you okay? Because I guess you guys got the supply list and there were no teal markers for the Copics for my class, and glitter was not on the supply list. So you were like, are you okay? I got a few emails and comments on social media. The hotel does not want us using glitter. So I had glitter on the supply list, and I mentioned, oh, I'll set up a glitter station and blah, blah, blah. And Lori was like, I'm really nervous about that because the hotel like specifies specifically not to have glitter. And I was like, that's okay. I'm like, I'll just put it on the handout and they can glitter at home. So that's why glitter is not on the supply list. It was so funny. All right. Yay, yay, yay. I'm just holding this in place a little bit because you saw I did do a little bit of wet glue on the center. And then we're going to add 'Tis the Season. This card here, I did Holiday Wishes, but this, I figure, why not switch up the sentiment a bit? So I'm going to pop this up. So I'm strategically putting some little foam bibbits behind the chunkiest parts of the sentiment. Yeah, definitely take your glitter out of your packing. We don't want Lori to get in trouble with the hotel. And I promise you guys, I will list on my handout what is glittered. And you can always do the scoop method at home and add glitter to all the things. Maybe I'll talk to Lori. Maybe I can just demo the scoop method during class so that if you haven't seen me do that in an online class, you won't feel like lost. All right, so I just added the sentiment. So now we are gonna glitter all of the things. And so what I did for this is I used Distress Rock Candy. I love, love, love Distress Rock Candy, and I love to use it on berries. They just look so yummy. They look like crystallized and sparkly and just amazing. So when I use the Distress Rock Candy, I like to use Distress Collage Medium. I think it's a little bit, it holds the chunkier glitter that Rock Candy is a little bit better so that it doesn't fall off, which I know that's a concern of some people when we are glittering all of the things. So what I'm going to do is I'm dabbing on Distress Collage Medium on the berries that I can get at. Some of my berries might be buried. Some of my berries might be buried. Oh boy. The fact that that just made me laugh is funny. But some of these berries on the foliage part I knew were under things. So just the ones that I can see. All right. Oh, and then this sprig here. This is going to dry clear. It's going to flatten out. It's going to be amazing. So don't worry. And so again, this is Distress Rock Candy glitter. And so I kind of just pour it on very generously. And normally I like to let this sit. I actually would put this on top of my Copic markers where I know little cats like Jack will not get into it. And I just kind of let the glitter rest into the Distress Collage Medium. But for the sake of the live, I'm going to go ahead and dump it and tap it. So it's going to look white and cloudy right now because the glue has not dried. But again, once it does dry, it's so, so pretty. And this is kind of, I feel like a more subtle sparkle because it's like a little shimmer. And then the last thing that I added to this card is some glitter drops from Pink Fresh. Of course, I've probably already buried them. So, oh, here they are. So these Pink Fresh glitter drops are so, so pretty. And what's nice about them is they have a flat back and they're really sparkly. I love how sparkly they are. And this champagne color, I feel matched my background gold so perfectly. I was really, really happy with it. Now, what I am sad about is I've misplaced, oh, here it is. I thought I misplaced my picker-upper tool. I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it. And now I just found it. So I just needed your help, you guys. I just needed you to help me. So I'm just going to pick out the ones that I want. I have a little bit less white space this time, which is okay. I kind of filled in with the foliage a bit more. But again, I'm going to kind of follow that diagonal line that I did my splatters on for my gem placement. And for my gems, you could use Distress Collage Medium, or I also use Lawn Fawn Glue Tube, whichever you would like. I have the Collage Medium out, so that's what I'm going to use. And I don't press my gems down into the glue. I kind of let gravity do its thing. I will lift it up so it's nice and flat on top of the glue, but I don't press it down because then you're not going to have any glue oozing out of the edges. All right. Oh, hello, Miss Libby. No worries. I figured something happened with work. Although everybody in the comments, let Miss Libby know the other thing she needs to request from Hero Arts besides my lobster die. Let her know. We talked about it, Libby. I'll let my peeps report to you. Hello, Amy. I did not see you in here earlier. Yes, that's right. They do look sugar-coated with the Distress Collage, with the Distress Rock Candy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, back in the olden days, there were all the colored Distress Rock Candies. Now, Tim has taught us how we can make our own, but I swear if he ever discontinues this rock candy glitter, I'm flying out to Arizona and having a chat with him, which I'm totally kidding because it's literally not his choice. I'm going to fly to New Jersey and have a chat with Ranger is what I would do. All right, so those gems are in place. So I'm going to funnel this right back in. Again, those are the glitter drops from Pink Fresh. Again, my berries are still white because the glue is drying. So let's go ahead and look at my original card. You can see the glitter gems on there. And then that Distress Rock Candy shimmery goodness. So, yay. Everybody, Libby says, uh-oh. It's not scary, Libby. It's just dreams. Just dreams. Yes, she said, Libby said that neon blue is for sure something we all want. I do want to say, Libby, I did mention that I know that neon blues are a hard pigment to even get. So I understood maybe why there wasn't a neon blue. Yeah, Libby just said, unfortunately, turns out neon blue is ridiculously hard to make. So I did guess that was the reason. However, a girl can still dream, right? I guess I'll just hold my breath for my lobster die. Okay, so before we go, since yesterday was Lawn Fawn, I keep saying Lawn Fawn because it was Lawn Fawn release day yesterday, but it was also Hero Arts release day. And so there's a fun blog hop going on. Remember all the details for the card I shared with you today. I do have a blog post all written out with some more detailed images and all the supplies. That is linked in the pinned comment in the chat and then also in the description of the video. And while you're over on my website, definitely check out the blog post for the Hero Arts catalog, holiday catalog blog hop. For that, I used this adorable deer. I mean, I don't think we were surprised that I wanted to use this peking reindeer with all the fun Lawn Fawn stuff that I do. And then I also used this sentiment set, which is holiday season messages. I have to say, Hero Arts does this a lot where they have they have a stamp set with a lot of really great sentiments. And I hold on to these sets for so long because it's like they're perfect for all cards. You always find the perfect one. It coordinates really well. And I just love a good all over sentiment set. So this is the cute card that I created for the blog hop. It's a gate folded card. And so I posted just a fun little video over on Instagram so that you could kind of get the full effect of the gate fold. And so what I did is I ink blended the background with Distress inks in this kind of ombre color scheme. I used Distress White Heavy Stock, which is my favorite paper to do ink blending on. And then I colored the little deer with my Copic markers. And whenever I share something on my website that I colored with Copics, I always share the swatch list. So if you wanted to use the same exact colors, you could, or if you use a different coloring medium, you could at least see the swatches and choose something similar in your coloring medium. And so, yeah, so I colored him up with Copics. I think he is so adorable. You guys, look at the little cheek freckles I gave him. I mean, come on. For his collar, I used Prisma glitter, but for the bell, I used rock candy. And you can see I did some gold splatters in the background. I used a white pigment ink and I used the poinsettia stencil from Hero Arts. That's actually an older stencil, but I also love it. I wanted to use it and I quickly checked the website to make sure it was still available, and it is, and I've used it many, many times. And then the card opens up, which I actually still have mine taped. 1 minute. Off camera, 1 second. I had it taped, so when I photographed it, it wasn't popping up. The behind the scenes joy. But then it opens up into a really sweet little gatefold. And so I used that stencil again, doing an ombre inking with Distress inks, and then Jingle All the Way. I just stamped with the gold metallic ink. I didn't emboss it, and I still think it looks fabulous. And so, yeah, so that's another holiday card to add to my stash. Which I don't know if you guys can guess who this card might go to. You might be able to guess in the comments. When I shared it with a friend of mine, if I tell you the friend, you'll definitely get it. But when I shared it with a friend of mine, she was like, oh, you know, blank would love this card. So I'll let you guys comment and see if you guys know. Yay! Thank you so much, Libby. And I had mentioned earlier that I always love when Hero Arts invites me to be part of all the fabulous things that they offer. Yes, Lawn Fawn and Hero Arts are very good friends, so it's okay that I keep mixing up my words. Yay, you're welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Again, whether you're here live or you're catching the replay, if you joined in late, you can always watch the beginning. I really appreciate you guys being here. I see some guesses coming in who this card might be for, and you guys are right. I'm not going to say it out loud, but yeah. That's who I'll send it to when I send out my holiday cards. Brienne says that she hopes I'm marking all of my cards down still. Thank you for reminding me, Brienne. I did mark a lot down before I left for vacation, but I got to catch up. So thank you for reminding me. Brienne was kind of asking me how many cards she thought I thought I made in a year, and I kind of gave a guess at the end of last year. But so this year I'm keeping track, and we'll do a fun little giveaway for, you know, people who want to guess and try to guess how many cards I've done. So yay. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me live. I really appreciate it. And again, if you're catching the replay, I appreciate you as well. If you have a second, give a little thumbs up to this video. It'll just help other people find it as well. And please, please, please check out all of the fun classes that I am offering this fall. There are some free classes. There's some paid classes. There's class kits available. There's in-person classes. There's a lot of fun to be had this fall. And I would love for you to join me. If you're already registered for any of the fun, I love when you share about my classes out in the crafty world. It just helps spread the word for me. And yeah, so thank you guys so much. Have a fabulous Friday. Have an amazing weekend. And